first open your eyeballs, that's incorrect because you didn't first open your eyeballs, you first faded in. When you first fade in and you spend some time here, you spend what appears to be a lot of time here, years, decades. And you believe theories about shapes of things, constructs. You accept a theory for all that you can see, that you can witness. You accept a theory for that. Theory is just a word for mental projection. That's all it is. So you're accepting mental projections that explain, that try to mimic what you see out there with your eyeballs and what you experience through your sensory system. The trap system is very layered, and you have to go through quite a few paradoxes, and you have to go through quite a few switchbacks. It's as if you're climbing up a mountain and you're going through switchbacks all the time, and then one thing contradicts another thing, and you have to constantly reframe your stance or your mental projection on the realm. So the first thing that you learn as a child is that you're tiny. The universe is massive. It's mind-boggling. You cannot conceive how large it is. It is immeasurably large. It's infinitely large. And you're tiny. I mean, compare yourself to anything. Go stand next to a building. Jump in the ocean. You're tiny. Now, they don't say outright that you are insignificant, but that's the feeling that automatically is prompted when you compare yourself against a nearly infinitely large time-space structure that you're within, called the universe. So that's the first stance that we take as children. We are tiny and insignificant, and we must work, do well at school, and follow the correct path. But then, at some point later in your life, and this is not for everybody, but this is for me and for very many people who understand me. At some point later on in your life, you have solipsism come up in your field of awareness as a concept. And of course, you have to explore it. So you explore what that means. What does it mean? What does solipsism mean? I exist. That's all it means. It means that I can only know myself as far as an internal experience. That's what solipsism is. It doesn't mean that other people don't exist. It means that I can only know what I internally experience. There might well be an internal experience in that other being, but I don't know that. That's solipsism. So when you encounter that idea, then you look out at the universe, and it doesn't seem quite as large as it used to. It doesn't seem quite as massively, infinitely huge. And you don't seem quite as insignificant as compared to it. So then, at some point, after encountering the notion of solipsism, you think, well, maybe I really am all that exists, and all these people around me are just like figments of my imagination or whatever. And you can go down many thought experiment paths with that thought. And along with that, you can have the notion, whoa, what if this whole universe was like mine, like literally just mine, just for me, nobody else. I'm the center of it. I mean, I literally am the center of it, right? You look down at your body, you're always in the center. If you compare yourself to everything else, it's you. What's the center of the universe? Yeah, you. It's always been you. So you can have that thought, and you think, wow, this place is amazing, and possibly, I don't know for sure, but possibly it's all for me. Like, the whole thing was just made just for me. You're like, wow, all for me. And then, after that, after you've enjoyed your universe ownership rights for a little while, and then you kind of get tired of that, and you're like, well, all for me or not all for me, it doesn't really matter. I'm here. So then you kind of drop that notion, and then you think, what's actually going on here? Like, what is actually going on here? What is all this? What are these people doing? What are they doing? How come I can't relate very well? Why don't I want to get a job? Why don't I want to go to school? How come I can't sit down and talk about sports for 2 hours? What's going on here? And of course, along this whole thing, you research and you research, because you can't talk to people because people don't talk. Not for the most part. Unless you're very fortunate. And you might have some talkers around you. Unlikely though. So you research and you thank the good Lord Jesus Christ, or whoever you like to think. You thank the prime source, the one true creator. You thank the void. That Google is around. That the internet is around, because the internet talks. So you go and research and research. You search and then you search and then you search some more. And you do that and do that and do that, and pretty much you're a proficient Google expert. You're pretty good at finding what you need exactly all the time on Google. And so at some point in all your searchings, you come across, not just in Google, but in books. Not just in books, but in people. In conversations, very rare ones, but they are to be had. You come across the notion that you come across a little bit darker notions here and there. You come across words like demiurge. You come across a Carlos Castaneda book. You come across, well, you remember all about what David Icke was talking about. You remember about Alex Jones and his Prison Planet website, and whether they're whatever capacity they're acting in, paid or not paid, government or not, none of that's ever relevant. It's always a matter of whether you can glean something from what is being presented to you. So you see those. You see the fundamental lack that propels everything here in the realm. You see that abundance is not present. Abundance is not present. You feel like it ought to be present. You feel like everybody should just be loving each other and having fun and creating. You feel like everybody shouldn't be in straitjackets, and you feel like everybody shouldn't be sitting behind desks all day, and you feel like everybody should just be building bonfires and fucking on the beach and having just like a blast all the time. That's what I feel. And so you search more, and you fart around, and you find out possibly that that there are some entities called archons, and they like eating energy, and they like vampiring your energy away. You come across notions like that. Every single of these little tidbits that you come across, it goes into the comprehensive picture, the subconscious comprehensive picture. So you find words like archon, you find words like energy vampires, you find words like demiurge, and then you find allegories such as Sophia and her son Yaldabaoth, and what Sophia did with her son Yaldabaoth, and why she's protecting him. And you come across all kinds of things like simulation theory, and looking at the apparent world around you, outside you, it doesn't mesh very well with what you feel inside. Whatever you call your heart, whatever you call your soul, whatever you call your intuition, this out here doesn't match correctly. So in order for you to fit in and to please the people around you, you have to pretend. You have to put on more masks than just the name mask, more masks than just the personality mask. You have to also take on all kinds of roles and pretend like you give a shit about any of the things that they're pretending to accomplish. And you don't like doing that. So you've come a long way from feeling tiny and insignificant in a nearly infinite physical universe. You've come quite a far distance from that point. Of course, you're still in the same spot, but you know more, you feel more. But now, the concept that possibly this whole universe was made for me doesn't seem so awe-inspiring anymore, and you don't feel quite so lucky about that possibility. And instead of possibly it being just this massive gift, you start thinking along the lines of, okay, this isn't a gift or anything. It's some sort of a trap system, or it's some sort of a cosmic video game that I started playing a long time ago and I forgot that I was playing it. You start thinking along those lines. And then, eventually you run across flat Earth. And eventually, if you peer peer in, you look in, you will begin to find at some point, if you're honest about it, you will find what you're searching for, and it will come in a very a plethora of ways. I hate that word because it's this dumb word that high school kids use to try to sound smart, because they know most of their dumb high school friends don't know what it means, and it just got tainted for me. But I even forgot what I was saying. Plethora. But anyway, oh yeah, flat Earth. Eventually you come to flat Earth, and then you just look on in amazement as people argue about the physical shape of the construct, and you hear the notion that flat Earth just means it's two-dimensional being interpreted into three-dimensional, and you're like, oh, duh. And then it's like, okay, well, what are all these people doing arguing about curvature and oceans and density and all this? And it's like, they're just having fun. Let them have fun. Because it doesn't particularly matter whether whatever somebody does with those two words, flat Earth, as long as it's creative, it doesn't matter what they're doing. If they're going out and measuring the ocean, or if they're imagining that it's a 2D plane interpreted into 3D and sounds and perceptions and whatnot, it doesn't matter. It matters that it served its purpose, which was to joggle the creative juices in the not the brain, but in the mind. You know, brain isn't source of, you know. But that's what flat Earth is for. Is it's supposed to? It's a trigger to help you realize what you're doing, where you are, why you're there. It's there to help you break free of conditioning and programming and live creatively. That's always the goal, is to live every moment as creatively as possible. Every single moment. Because that's all you have. You have your moment. Like, what are you going to do in it? Are you going to sit in your present moment and imagine about the future and the past, which aren't real, forever? Are you going to do that forever? Look down at your body. Like, look at, I got hands. I can, like, wiggle them. Got a dick. I can go fuck. Not right now. Og says not to. You got a foot, you can kick a ball, you know? You can kick somebody in the nads that's bucking you. You can do anything right now. You can, anything that is possible in this realm, you can do right now. You don't ever need to put off and just live in imagination land, because you just don't have to. Do you want to do that forever? All right. Hope everybody's doing well. Bye-bye.